Welcome to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast, where we help you conquer the internet one video at a time. We cover everything from how to start a YouTube channel to how to make a video go viral. And now, here's your host, the one and only Dusty Porter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. This is episode 319 of the show, where each and every week I bring you an interview with a wonderful YouTube creator, and I talk with them about their journey on the platform, the ups and downs, the strategies, tips, and tricks, and what makes them tick as a creator. If that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to subscribe to the show, whatever you listen to your podcast. It's absolutely free, and you'll be notified every Friday when we go live with a new conversation. This week is amazing. I talk with Eden. She is a 16-year-old content creator doing coding tutorials and technology content and is killing it on YouTube and beyond. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, definitely stick around. Thank you to TubeBuddy for continuing to allow me to do and produce this show. They are the primary sponsor of the show. If you're looking for a tool, if anyone asks me, Dusty, what do you recommend I do or use to help me be more time efficient and to help me optimize the time that I have for my YouTube channel? Always, I recommend TubeBuddy. And if you use our link in the show notes, it'll obviously help us out, but it'll help you out too because you will get a free month trial of using TubeBuddy and all of the features. It isn't limited, it isn't restricted. You can use every tool and feature they have available to you. Also, over on patreon.com/DustyPorter, you can support me at the analyst tier or higher, and you will get a shout out of a link or YouTube channel of your choice on one episode per month. We've got 6 of those analysts now, and you'll hear about those again next week. And don't forget, if you or you know someone who you think will be a great fit for this podcast, a great creator on YouTube, please click the link. It's a Google form in the show notes. Takes 5 minutes. Submit their channel. Give me the information. I'd love to reach out. I don't really care about numbers or requirements. You got to have this many subscribers, but you do have to be consistent, and you do have to understand that you've been doing it for a while. That's really all my requirements that I have, and I want you to have a unique story to tell when we get on the podcast. That's really it. With all of that out of the way, I do want to mention we will not be doing question of the week this week because there was some personal stuff came up on my end. My sister is about to have a baby, and the production time of doing the question of the week takes way more time. Doing the research, finding the answers, doing things like that. So if you did answer the question, I appreciate it. You might get a shout out next week, but we will be back to regularly scheduled question of the week next week. But with all of that house cleaning out of the way, let's jump into this week's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. As each and every week, I'm joined today by a wonderful guest. I'm joined today by Eden Wilson. She is a YouTube partner, brand ambassador, entrepreneur, speaker, champion, rhythmic gymnast, a former competitor on season 1 of Lifetime's Child Genius, coding enthusiast, and get this, she's a high school student. So if you feel bad about what you've accomplished, don't be. She's just an overachiever. She's the owner of Lemonerdy.com, a website where she showcases her clothing and accessory line, as well as videos from 4 seasons of her YouTube show, which she started in 2018 when she was only 11 years old. Her goal is to inspire everyone to share their stories and pursue their dreams by sharing her various hobbies and talents, from reading, coding, trying interesting foods, making crafts, cooking, hanging out with her friends, and so much more. She currently has a coding course on DIY.org, coding tutorials streaming on Sensical, and is developing her own courses for her platform, Lemonerdy University. Eden, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. And I'm just going to get this out of the way because I know I'll be asked this on Twitter and places like that. You're in high school. How old are you currently?
I'm 16 right now.
16 years old. Her channel is Lemonerdy over on YouTube. She's got a lot of courses out there. She's into coding. She's got a lot of fun stuff to discuss, but we're going to break it all down. All right, so I want to talk today about the origin story of the Lemonerdy brand and YouTube channel. So just go from the beginning and tell us how the whole thing started.
Okay, so I started out as a little influencer when I was about 8, because my mom was a mom blogger, and since her content was all about what she does for us and how she's raising us, the different techniques that she uses, she would get a lot of brand deals, and I would end up starring in her videos and talking about just different products and things like that. So I discovered that I was really good at speaking on camera. I had good camera presence and I loved doing it. So I started begging my mom for a YouTube channel. And eventually she broke and Lemonerdy was born. The name was totally random. Everyone always asks me, where did the name come from? And it was very random. The only significant part of it is the nerdy part because I'm a huge nerd. As you mentioned, I am definitely an overachiever and I am a nerd for a lot of different things. It started out as mainly a booktube channel. So I would always talk about the different books that I was reading. I would go on little library tours and talk about my library hauls. I would check out 14 books at a time. I was definitely a nerd for that. So after I started it in 2018, I was very interested in coding, so I moved towards not just showing the products that I was making, but how I made them. Then I started to get feedback on what my kids were doing. They would tell me, "Oh, I saw your videos and you're the reason that I started coding." And that really inspired me. So I started doing more coding tutorials along with my regular lifestyle things, and those really took off. I ended up being on YouTube Kids before I was even monetized. So my coding tutorials started to reach kids around the world. Actually, a lot of my audience is in India. So most of my kids' videos are viewed around the world, and I just started moving towards more of an education side rather than entertainment. And my videos, I try to keep them entertaining, but they're also educational. So that's kind of where I am right now.
I love that. I love the name, by the way. I was going to ask you, but no longer because you answered it for me there. But I love the name, Lemonerdy. I love the logo. You got a little lemon with glasses on it. I encourage you, if you're listening to this, to go to her channel and check it out. I think that it's amazing. So the first question I have for you, Eden, is this. What do you do and how do you balance as a creator? You're still in high school. You're still young. You still have so many things that you're learning each and every day. What do you do to balance and to time manage to make sure that you have enough time to be a creator as well as a normal kid?
So I do my YouTube channel in seasons. So usually I'll have a couple month hiatus between my content creating where I actually make the content, and then I will schedule 5 or 6 videos at a time, and then after those come out, I'll start to make more videos in real time. So things that are timely, like holidays or different, national days, like National Day of the Girl or coding days, things like that. So I try to do all of my content at once, and then once those run out, then I'll do more things every week. I also utilize Google Calendar a lot. So whenever I have different speaking engagements like this, I always have them on my Google Calendar along with all of my assignments and things like that. Also, being in high school is actually kind of new to me because I was homeschooled up until 8th grade. So when I moved to Chicago, I started 8th grade in public school, and before that, I was homeschooled. So I started my channel as a homeschooler, and since I didn't really have to do school all day, I would spend all day making a couple videos, and then I wouldn't have to do anything for the rest of it. So moving into being at an actual brick and mortar school from 8 to 3, that was kind of a big transition for me. And during that time, my YouTube channel the posting times were a little all over the place. But during the pandemic, I was able to get back on track. That's kind of when I started doing my coding tutorials every single week. And that's when things really took off. That's when I started getting monetized. That's when I got more noticed. And now I actually ended up taking another hiatus while I was making my course for DIY.org because I didn't want to overload myself with trying to make videos for them, which I ended up making 26 individual videos ranging from 2 to 6 minutes that were very highly produced, and then also making videos for my YouTube channel. So I am still currently on a hiatus, and I'm going to be moving back into making videos for my YouTube channel again in a couple weeks.
I absolutely love that. I think doing it in seasons, especially when you're doing it like you are, still in high school, still having so many things, so many irons in the fire per se, is a great way of doing it. I actually know a lot of podcasters who do seasons. They do a season of, say, 20 some odd episodes. They take a hiatus, like what you said, and then once, the fall gets here, or they, take a break over the summer, and then they get back into it. As a creator, understanding the cadence and what works for you is critical. I want to ask you this, Eden. What would you say to someone listening to this, wanting to start or grow a YouTube channel? Like, what would be that one bit of advice that you would say has helped you the most along the way?
I would say just go for it and make sure that what you're making videos about is something that you love. Because when people are watching you, they're going to see your passion for what you're talking about, and that will make them more interested than anything else. So make sure that you stay true to yourself and you're making videos about what you love, because not only on camera you'll come across better, but when you're planning to make them, you'll be more excited about doing them, and that will come out in your videos. If you're excited about something, then your viewers will be more excited about something. And if they see that you are really passionate about something and they're really passionate about something, they're going to connect with you and they're more likely to subscribe.
That is so true. If you're not passionate about what you're talking about, whether it be podcasting, a YouTube video, a TikTok, whatever it is, it's going to come through the screen. It's going to be able to be seen from the viewer or the consumer of said content. And so I could not agree with you more. And now I want to ask you a similar question, but something that you may have had to learn the hard way. So what is something that you wish you would have known sooner? So looking back now at your journey thus far, thinking back, what is something that you say to yourself, man, if I just would have known that sooner, I could have grown even quicker, or I could even become more successful?
Probably wish I would have known that, and I probably wouldn't have been able to know this at the time, but I wish that I would have known that kids content makes like pennies on the dollar of content that is not necessarily made for adults, but is just not necessarily targeted at kids. So I probably would have moved more towards making more content, like along with my kids' content, because I'm very passionate about making coding videos specifically for kids. But I also would have made sure that I had a lot of content that wasn't specifically for kids, so that while I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, I can still have another stream of income.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I want to kind of piggyback off of that and kind of dive into this for a bit. What are the difficulties of creating content for kids? Because as the past few years have gone by, there's a lot more kind of hoops that you have to jump through, rightfully so, because of protection and safety and whatnot. But what are some of the different difficulties of creating content directed towards kids?
So YouTube cannot make specific advertisements for viewers that they know that are kids. So they can't take the rest of their browsing history and see that they're interested in, I don't know, coding or something, and then make advertisements that and serve up advertisements that are specifically about coding courses or something like that. So when I get kids that are viewers, they get very general advertisements, and advertisers pay more to know that their audience is going to be interested in their advertisements so that they're more impactful. So when my viewers are getting advertisements that aren't necessarily relevant to them, the advertisers are paying less for that. So if I have a video that's very general, like a lifestyle vlog or a product review that's not targeted towards kids, I'll be making a lot more per view than I would with a kids video. Even though it's getting the same amount of views, it's going to make a lot less money.
Can you talk about numbers? You mentioned that you're going to make a lot more per view than you would. Can you give us a comparison of, ad rates for, say, like the content that I create, the tutorials that I create are directed towards, not children. So for me, it's different than for you if you're directing it towards kids. So speak on that. Can you talk about numbers and estimates?
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but let's say I have two videos that are both getting about 30,000 views. Mm-hmm. I would probably make about $30 a month. It pays for my random Panda Express trips, but probably about 20 to 25 of those dollars comes from a single video that is not even one of the videos that I really wanted to make. It's always the videos that you didn't really want to make, but you just had
Absolutely.
to, that
Yes.
always end up taking off. It was about me reviewing one of these mini blenders. It's like the size of a water bottle versus my regular blender. And my mom just wanted me to make the video because I got that thing randomly and she thought it would be interesting because it was trending. And then that took off. But my other coding videos that I really worked hard on that they ended up taking off slower, that video would probably make like, I don't know, like 5 times less than the other videos because they're targeted towards children and they can't have those specific advertisements. But one thing that is good about having a kids channel is that you can get on YouTube Kids. So YouTube Kids is like a separate platform that's very safe. It doesn't have very specific advertisements, but all of the kids that their parents want them to just be safer on YouTube but still get that good content, they're on YouTube Kids. And since it's a selected amount of videos, you are more likely to get pushed forward. And since the algorithm there is not as intricate, it's not going to serve up that content that's already popular as much as smaller creators. So being on YouTube Kids, I've gotten a lot of my views from there. And even though in your analytics you can't actually tell, it won't tell you the demographics of who's watching your videos, but you can tell just based off what's missing. So about 30% of my views come from YouTube Kids, and that's really what made me take off and was able to get monetized. So if you have a kids channel, that's one thing that can get you more views to compensate for the fact that you're not getting as much money per view.
Couple questions about YouTube Kids. Both of my little ones, 7 and 4 now, that's the only way that I allow them to watch YouTube is via YouTube Kids. So I definitely concur with what you're saying. 2 follow-up questions for folks listening to this. Do you have to apply? And if you do, I'm sure you do, what's the process like of getting on YouTube Kids? And then is there any way to make money via YouTube Kids? If not through ad revenue and AdSense, do you have to get partnerships or how does all that work?
So being on YouTube Kids is actually very random. I was discovered by one of the, I guess, content scouts on YouTube, and I didn't even know that I was on YouTube Kids for a while until one of my videos took off, and then I looked more into where the views were coming from. But you don't have to apply, you just kind of have to get discovered. So if you make very recognizable content, I think my first video that was on there was a video for Black History Month, and then they started to do a playlist for Black History Month, and that's where my content got on there. And you don't make a lot of money from it. It's the same as the other platforms, but one thing that I did that helped me take off more on YouTube Kids is that I had a partnership with Dork Diaries before I even got monetized, which actually helped me get monetized because a lot of kids on YouTube Kids are interested in Dork Diaries. So when I was making that series of content for them, the kids were looking for that, and I got a bunch of views off of that. And that's where a lot of my watch time came from to get monetized. So even though I am a kids channel, doing brand partnerships actually makes me a lot more money than individual views or the $30 a month that I get from YouTube for my Panda Express. So doing brand partnerships with brands that are targeted towards kids will get you more views, and you will also get paid by that brand. And it helps you all around.
And give me an example of some brands. I know you mentioned Dork Diaries, and if you can speak on it, don't give me exact numbers, but like an estimation of what one of these brand deals could be worth for a kids or children's creator.
Depending on what you do, it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. So just one of the events that I did with Dork Diaries ended up paying me $1,000, but I did it with other kids. So it was a live virtual sleepover, and there were, I think, 5 other girls that I did it with, and I was able to pay them with the money that I got. So brand deals, they are definitely very helpful. Another brand that I did a deal with was Miss April Fashion Girl. It's just like a kids fashion brand. But if you have a specific audience of kids, like kids who read books, you might want to partner with Scholastic, or just find a kids brand that is related to the content that you make for kids. And if you know that kids are going to be interested in that sort of thing, then that can help you get the views that will compensate for the money that you won't get from advertising.
What would you say to parents listening to this who their kids are begging them to start a YouTube channel? What would you say to that person?
I would tell them to show your parents that you are professional and responsible, and that you know what it takes to be safe online, so that your parents won't be concerned about people knowing who you are or where you live. So a couple things that I made sure that I did to make sure that my parents were comfortable with me being online is make sure you never say where you go to school. If you're doing vlogs, don't do them in real time. So if you're posting on Instagram as a little behind the scenes, let's say you're downtown, don't post where you are in real time. Wait till you get home to post it. Don't say, your exact age unless you really need to. Don't say like the specifics of where you live. I mean, people know that I live in Chicago because I was Miss Chicago's Outstanding Teen, but I don't tell them exactly where I live, like what neighborhood or anything like that.
Correct.
But if you just take those steps and make sure that your parents know that you know what it takes to be safe online, and that you are professional enough to be able to plan out your videos, and you know about YouTube and the algorithm and what you need to be successful, they're more likely to let you start a channel.
Yeah, I agree. My daughter's been begging me. She's got a bunch of little videos that she does. She unboxes stuff, and she's so funny when she does it. She's so confident, and I let her record the videos. I haven't uploaded any of them yet, but it's really, it makes her happy when she thinks that she's creating stuff, because, Daddy does it, and seeing me do it, and her being a part of that, she, loves to be a part of it. And so I never want to dampen that spirit or that passion that she has for creation, because my parents never did that for me. And so as a parent, all I would say for those of you listening is that don't ever smash that dream, right? Like, give them encouragement, but also do it in a safe way, just like Eden just spoke about right now. I want to talk about the next couple of minutes before we close out here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. What does it mean for you to be a female creator in a space where it's primarily male? And I just know that what you're doing by giving other female creators their wings and letting them know that they can too be in technology. They can be nerds as well. They can get into coding. They can do these things. But on the flip side of that, they can also create content and do it well and succeed. How would you speak on that?
I would say it's definitely hard, but it also makes me unique. So when I'm looking at my competition and who is also making coding tutorials for kids, usually it is white males or something like that. Yeah. But when the kids see me, like how I was talking about earlier, when they see somebody who's passionate about something, then they become passionate about it. They see someone who looks like them that is passionate about something. They're so much more likely to connect with me on that level than if they were seeing someone who doesn't look like them, who is going to be that person in those spaces that separates them from somebody who looks like them. So my subscribers and people who will give me feedback, they are very loyal to me because they know that I'm a minority, and they know that being in those male-dominated spaces is something that I will experience and something that they will experience, and they're very connected with me on that level. And I'm also very proud that I've been able to get so many minorities into coding just at this early stage, because then I know that I'm making a difference, and that in the field of STEM, I've done something to help them get into it and to inspire them and show them that they can.
And to know that YouTube is that platform, right? You have that free platform where you can just upload, and you can, all over the world, people can view your videos. There's nothing stopping them as long as they have internet connection, and YouTube is available in that country. Like you said, you had a big audience in India. I do as well, doing my educational stuff on my channel. And so knowing that you have this worldwide audience, it gives you so much freedom of knowing that you have an audience out there. And that's the beauty of YouTube. I want to ask you now, Eden, what's next for you? Like, what are you looking to do? Like, what are short term and long term? What are you looking to do on the channel?
So you mentioned me starting Lemonerdy U. So that's really my next step. Even though I'm doing educational content on my YouTube channel, I want to move it to my own platform where I'm going to be doing my coding tutorials in course form, but also teaching kids how to start their YouTube channels, how they can get started, how they can stay safe, what they need to do, what materials they need to use. And that is just going to be my space for empowerment. So I'm going to be doing events and things like that. That's kind of my short-term plans. But my long-term plans, I want to be a special education teacher when I grow up. And I want to have an educational technology company that makes different educational tools that help people with learning disabilities. I actually tutor a student with a learning disability, and I was able to code games for him that fit his learning style, that helped him to learn and progress a lot faster. So I want to make a platform like that that matches students based on their learning disability to different learning tools that can help them learn in their learning style.
Well, I tell you what, this has been an awesome interview. You are killing it on YouTube. I highly encourage anyone to go check out Lemonerdy over on YouTube and all the things that she has to offer over there. Eden, is there anything in closing that you'd like to say before we hop off?
I would say if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, just go for it. And know that if you're a girl in tech or somebody who's interested in coding, that I'm here for you. So go to my channel, look at my different videos, and if you just want to get in contact with me, you can go to my About Me page and just talk to me. I am that kind of person that if you want to talk to me, I will talk to you. If you have a specific coding problem, I'll help you. And just know that I am an ally and that I'm here for you. And also subscribe.
I absolutely love that. Eden, you've been such a pleasure to have on this podcast, and I'm so thankful that I was connected with you, and we are now going to be able to release this to my audience and your audience, and really appreciate you joining me, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the YouTube Creators Podcast. We want to thank you and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as support us on Patreon for great perks, such as having your YouTube channel featured on the show and a link on our website. Until next time, keep uploading those videos.